Good evening. The program lists Anthony Parenti, but unfortunately Tony's not able to join us today, so I will provide some services in Tony's stead. So please rise and offer a hand-heart salute for the presentation of the colors for the American Legion Post 209 Color Guard. Two. Please remain standing. I'd like to call upon Rabbi Joel Abraham of Temple Shalom, who will offer an invocation.
We come together this evening and tomorrow morning, not just to come together as our community at Scotch Plains and Fanwood, not just to mark how important it is for us to stand together as citizens of the United States of America. We stand here with our veterans. Our veterans are here not just because of the service that they've given, but to remind us of those who are not standing next to them. Those whose absence we feel very deeply on this Memorial Day. Those whose absence we try and remember through street signs in our towns. Let's take a moment to remember those who gave their all so that we could be here remembering them on this day. We'll take a moment in silence. God, we take this moment to give thanks for those who gave everything they had so that we could live in the freedoms that we have today. We pledge to remember what they sacrificed for us and to live in a way that honors their ideals. And let us say, Amen.
Now please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance, hand-heart salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. And now I'd like to introduce Fanwood Mayor Colleen Moore.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Exactly, right? Good evening. And thank you for each and every one of you for coming out here as we're getting a little rained on, but nonetheless, we are not deterred to come together as a community to pay homage to those who made the ultimate sacrifice. On behalf of myself, Jack Molinar, Catherine Mitchell, Tom Krantz, Russ Hugel, Erin McElroy Barker, and Anthony Carter, who is your governing body, we want to welcome you to the north side of our historic train station. We want to welcome all of our friends from Scotch Plains, Fanwood, Westfield, and beyond. This evening, tomorrow morning, the ceremony and the parade is really about bringing people together. Not only to pay attention to those who endure, but to dedicate what we do every day to the greater good. Today we are honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice. I hope this concert is met with a smile, with a memory, and that each of us pause and reflect and thank God for the life that we have. We owe a fallen debt of gratitude to those who have come before us and those who will go in front of us to keep the great United States of America the wonderful country that it is. I'd like to thank the Parade Committee and the Concert Committee for giving us this annual wonderful free concert here, and I'd like to thank the Westfield Community Band for about to kick off some great toe-tapping tunes. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. I would like to introduce Mayor Al Smith, Mayor of Scotch Plains, and share some remarks.
Thanks, everybody, all you hearty souls who have come out today. I also would like to, on behalf of Scotch Plains Council, welcome you here today. Let's enjoy the concert. I would like to recognize our Grand Marshal for tomorrow. It's Constantine E. Zaganis. Constantine, stand up. Colonel in the U.S. Marine Corps, and he participated in Operation Freedom. We'll hear more about that tomorrow. Also, if you look in your program, you'll see what the events are for tomorrow morning, so please attend as many as you can. And I would also like to point you to the back of our program for all the donors who donated, who make this possible. That's why it's free. Both towns rely on these donors, so thank you. And finally, many thanks to Freeholder Al Marabella and the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders for the use of their concert stage for this event, which is right here. So thank you very much. Let's enjoy the concert.
And now I'd like to turn the program over to Dr. Thomas Connors, Director of the Westfield Community Concert Band. Maestro.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and the bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening. My name is Joe McCourt. I'm a U.S. Army veteran of the Vietnam War. Before I proceed with my reading, I'd just like to acknowledge support of the Fanwood Fire Department for the beautiful American flag. So please give a round of applause to the fire department. Tonight's musical program is complemented by a series of 3 readings entitled Letters. Concert and recitations pay tribute to America's war casualties who, as President Abraham Lincoln described in the Gettysburg Address, gave the last full measure of devotion. One letter is written by a mother to her son, who was a war fatality. The other 2 letters are poignant farewells that capture the words of servicemen to their loved ones before they were killed in action. The common thread that binds them all is love. The letters are quite emotional and moving. I trust these passages will touch your hearts. Specialist 5 William R. Stock from Glen Burnie, Maryland, was in Vietnam for 4.5 months when the resupply helicopter in which he was flying crashed and burned in Chu Lai on February 13, 1969. He was 20 years old when he was killed. Bill's mother, Eleanor Wimbish, visits the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., where she leaves letters for him on his birthday, Christmas, Veterans Day, Valentine's Day, whenever she misses him a lot. For her, he will always be more than a name etched on a wall. This is one of her letters. Dear Bill, today is February 13th, 1984. I came to this black wall again to see and touch your name. And as I do, I wonder if anyone stops to realize that next to your name on this black wall is your mother's heart. A heart broken 15 years ago today when you lost your life in Vietnam. And as I look at your name, William R. Stocks, I think of how many times I used to wonder how scared and homesick you must have been in that strange country called Vietnam. And if and how it might have changed you, for you were the most happy-go-lucky kid in the world, hardly ever sad or unhappy. And until the day I die, I will see you as you laughed at me, even when I was mad at you. And the next thing I knew, we were laughing together. But on this past New Year's Day, I had my answer. I talked by phone to a friend of yours in Michigan who spent your last Christmas and the last 4 months of your life with you. Jim told me how you died, for he was there and saw the helicopter crash. He told me how you had flown your quota and had not been scheduled to fly that day. How the regular pilot was unable to fly and had been replaced by someone with less experience. How they did not know the exact cause of the crash, how it was either by enemy fire, or they hit a pole, or something unknown. How the blades went through the chopper and hit you. How you lived for about a half hour, but were unconscious, and therefore did not suffer. He said how your jobs were like sitting ducks. They would send you out to draw the enemy into the open, and then they would send in the big guns to take over. Meantime, death came to so many of you. Oh God, how it hurts to write this. I must face it and then put it to rest. I know that after Jim talked to me, he must have lived it all over and suffered so. Before I hung up the phone, I told Jim I loved him. Loved him for being your close friend, for sharing the last days of your life with you, for being there with you when you died. How lucky you were to have him as a friend, and how lucky he was to have you. They tell me the letters I write to you and leave here at this memorial are waking others up to the fact that there's still much pain left after all these years from the Vietnam War. But this I know. I would rather have had you for 21 years and all the pain that goes with losing you than never to have had you at all. Love, Mom. This reading is an excerpt from Dear America, Letters from Vietnam, which was edited by Bernie Edelman for the New York Vietnam Veterans Memorial Commission. The book was originally published in 1985 and made into a documentary in 1987.
see the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He is feast the final lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Sergeant Walter Wells, United States Marine Corps. I'm a veteran of the Vietnam War. This letter was written by Captain Rodney R. Chaston from Mobile, Alabama. He served with Marine Air Group 13, 1st Marine Air Wing, based in Da Nang, Vietnam. Although his 13-month tour in Vietnam was up in September 1968, he extended for an additional 6 months. He was killed on October 22nd, 1968. He was 25 years old. He writes, "Mom, today I received your letter in reply to my extension letter. You replied as I knew you would. Always the mother who tries to put her son's wishes before her own, even when she is not sure it is best for his welfare. It made me sad. I want so much to make you proud. I want so much to make you happy. At the same time, I have my life to lead with my own dreams, goals, and outlook. And I know all these things cannot be compatible, particularly in the short run. But understand my love my family more than anyone or anything in the world. March 1969 is not so very far away. I've been in Vietnam more than 11 months. I have only 8 more months in this country. My chances of coming home unhurt improve every month because I know so much more than I did as a beginner. I know much better when to take a chance and when not to. Please trust my judgment. Try to understand that you raised a son who likes the excitement and challenges he finds here, and these qualities he will see through the opportunities he will face in the 1970s. Know that I dream of a day when I will return home to you and Dad and hold you in my arms again. Sometimes I get lonely. Sometimes I want nothing more than sit down at the dinner table, see before me roast beef, corn on the cob, mashed potatoes, bow my head for the blessing, and look up and see my mother, pretty and smiling, searching for any way she can to make her son comfortable. Know that it is hard to turn your back on these things. It is not easy to say I opt for 6 more months of heat, sand, and shooting. I know there will be nights that I will suffer the loss of another friend, and nothing can make a man feel so alien or alone as they walk by the seashore as he tries to adjust to the loss of another friend in this godforsaken country. But that is part of the draw, the attraction, the challenge. Here there is a job to be done. There are moral decisions made every day. My experience is invaluable. The job requires a man of conscience. The group of men that does this job have to have a leader with a conscience. In the last 3 weeks, we killed more than 150 enemy on a single operation. That reflects a lot of responsibility. I'm needed here, Mom. Not that I am essential or indispensable, but my degree of proficiency is now undisputed as the best in the 1st Marine Division. The young men coming in need the leadership of an older hand. I am that hand. I am the man. I relish the opportunity. I am sorry that I hurt you. If I thought that I was needed home more than here, I would come home. Things are going well at home, so where do I belong? This is an unusual time in our nation's history. The unrest around the world is paralleled only a handful of times in history. Young men are asking questions, hard questions. Much of the focus on the entire world is Vietnam. The incompetency and wrongs committed in Vietnam are staggering, but through it all, I see a little light. Some men choose to fight on the streets. Some choose to fight in universities. Some choose to fight in the legislature. My choice is between 2 options: fight in Vietnam or shut up. I chose Vietnam. If I am to contribute, it must be Vietnam. And when I come home, you will see that little light. Your son, Rod. This reading is an excerpt from Dear America, Letters Home from Vietnam, which are edited by Bernard Elderman of New York Vietnam's Veterans Memorial Commission. The book was originally published in 1985 and made into a television documentary in 1987.
Albert, United States Army, Vietnam veteran. U.S. Army First Lieutenant Todd W. Weaver of Hampton, Virginia, assigned to 1st Battalion, 320th Field Artillery Regiment, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne Division, Air Assault, based in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He died on September 9, 2010, at Combat Outpost Stout, Afghanistan, a wound suffered when insurgents attacked his unit with an improvised explosive device. Lieutenant Weaver was 26 years old. He wrote a letter to his wife Emma and his baby daughter Kylie to be read in the event of his death. Dear Emma, well, if you are reading this, I guess I did not make it home, and therefore I was not able to remind you again of how much I love you. I love you so much, baby, and I will always love you. Although I may not be here right now, take comfort in the fact that I am watching over you right now. I am not gone, and I will always be with you in spirit. I know this time must be hard for you, but I also know how strong you are. Never forget that God knew what was best for us before we were even born. Take comfort in that. This happened for a reason. Although you may not believe it now, you will one day. I want you to know just how important you are to me. I could not ask for a more caring, beautiful, and loving wife. The memories that we have shared over the past few years have been the best of my life. Although it seemed like my life was cut short, I lived a life that most can only dream of. I married the perfect woman. I have a beautiful daughter that amazed me every day. I even had 2 great dogs, at least most of the time. I couldn't ask for anything more. If you feel sad, just think back to the memories that we shared. Look at our daughter and how beautiful she is. Be strong for her. Remind her about her daddy and tell her that I loved her more than anything in the world. Her birth was the best day of my life, and she was the best thing that ever happened to me. Her smile and laughter represent all that is good and beautiful in this world. Tell her that Daddy is in heaven now and will watch over her and protect her every minute of every day. I love you, Emma, but never be afraid to do what you need to do to be happy. It is so important that you continue to find happiness in your life. Although you may think this is impossible right now, have faith. Much better times are coming. You and Kylie have a wonderful life ahead of you, and I'm so happy to have shared some of it with you. I love you, your loving husband, Todd. Lieutenant Weaver's wife, Emma, found this document and a letter to his baby daughter, Kylie, on his computer after he was killed during his second tour of duty in Afghanistan. The letters which we read this evening and similar correspondences from fallen warriors provide a tangible connection to the past and humanize our men and women in uniform, capturing their distinct personalities, experiences, and aspirations. Through their words, we see them more than just soldiers, Marines, airmen, or sailors. They are a parent, a sibling, a child, a fiancé, or a best friend. Ultimately, these letters ensure that we will never forget the sacrifices made for our great nation, especially on Memorial Day. Thank you.
let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with snow. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that criminal highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, and I've abundant, hardly sands of the northern desert, and all around me a world was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. And I was strolling, and blood was waving, and love was flowing, and heart was falling, and voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. Your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. The next three songs is a sing-along. So if you know them, please join. I want to hear you sing. All right. the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage with the grapes of wrath was born. He has loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible good Lord. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, has shed his rain on me, and crowned thy golden cross the feet who shine in and the flag. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true to the red, white, and blue, and wherever the post for pride. All the flames that be forgot, keep your eye on the land of pride. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA, we're proud in every American heart, and it's time we heard them say, that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave their rights to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend them till today. For you need no doubt I love this land, I'll tell you today.
Before we conclude our concert, I just want to thank the committee that put together this entire two-day program. This is a wonderful thing to have a community that's so engaged in what's going on and remembers the importance of this day for so many families across America. I want to thank you for that. And so we're going to play a little salute. A little salute to the armed forces, and I'd ask anybody who's active or a veteran of the various services, when you hear your military tune, to please stand and be recognized.
Thank you.